Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Darrell Owens, back for another episode of One on One here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. And of course, airing on the amazing Bowie TV. We are here for episode 198, two away from 200. And we are getting set for the NFL Divisional Playoff Weekend. What a wild card weekend of football we had last weekend. We're going to get into all that. The ups, the downs, the highs, the lows. It was a great weekend of football. Every game was pretty much close, except for the last one. But it wasn't that last one wasn't a blowout until the fourth quarter. Like it was a tight game all the way through until the end of the game. But like I said, we got a lot to get into all that. Get our power rankings heading into the divisional weekend. We're gonna have our predictions for the week, review all the games from last week, all that fun stuff, and you know. We're just a little bit closer. These episodes are not as long as our normal ones, but we do want to give you a preview and get ready for the divisional playoff round. We're just 2 steps away from the Super Bowl. And winners this week head to the AFC and NFC championship games. So we're excited to find out where people will end up. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get this bad boy rocking and rolling. Episode 198, ladies and gentlemen, of 101 starts now. One, 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 one. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to one-on-one at Legacy Maker Sports Network. Here we are, episode 198. That feels like an old jingle that we had here in the radio area in Richmond. I don't know. Just rambling. But once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in for another episode of One-on-One. Very excited to be here to bring you the latest episode. And we're just two away from our 200 episode of a journey that started back in 2020. But now, that also means we're getting closer and closer to the end of the season, which means we'll take a little bit of a break. Probably come back for free agency. Then, of course, we'll come back with some specials as we get ready for the NFL draft. Last year we had, Jay Quimby and Cody Stewart and LeBron Thomas and James Brown. We had a couple of different people come on. We'll try to get Rob Johnson in on this year. So we got a couple people that'll come on and hopefully all be able to come on and give their first round mocks. But we'll do all of that when we get to April, when we get close to March, April, all that good stuff. Anyway, let's go ahead and get ready to talk about a great weekend of playoff football that we had last weekend. There was just a lot going on. It was a lot of fun, and we had a lot of things happen. I had a really solid weekend, but it still didn't end the way I would have liked everyone ended. Some people just got to finish football games and they just don't know how to. But that's the Packer enthusiast talking in me. But let's kind of go into last weekend, kind of tell you what happened. First of all, I'm going to say this. I had a bad week. Record-wise. Look at this, 2-4. I went 2-4 last week. There was no positivity leaving out of that. I really thought that I was going to be in a better spot. After the first game, it was starting to look. I was like, okay, mid-second game, I'm like, I'm not going to be 2-0. I'm going to be all right. Then on Sunday, if you go back and look at it, I thought I had that first game on Sunday. I didn't really care too much about the fourth game. I kind of wanted it to go the opposite way, and it did. New England did what I needed to do to get one of the 2 wins. And maybe the 2 teams that I picked, maybe those teams go to the Super Bowl. I don't know. But what I do know is 2-4, and it wasn't pretty. Now, switching over to the games from last week. The first game, and this is kind of all over the board here. So we're going to jump a little bit back and forth, and we're going to do it based off of where the games and when they happen. So the first game we're going to talk about would be the Carolina Panthers and the LA Rams. It was a great football game, y'all. Like I watched every game last weekend, had a chance to just sit and chill, didn't have nowhere to go, didn't have to go run around, just sat and really just locked in and had a chance to really just enjoy all football, even some of the heartache. But this was just a good game. Rams come out, had the lead going into the half. It was 17-14, but both teams was battling. Like it was a dogfight. And it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until the very, very end. Stafford was able to hit Kobe Parkinson in the end zone to give them that last push that gave them just enough to get this win. Matt Stafford, and I've heard some people like, oh, there's a lot of Matt Stafford glazing going on. I had somebody said that in one of the posts I did last week because I had him as my choice for MVP. And, last week game kind of showed it to me a little bit more. Yes, could Drake May win it and I'd be fine with it? Yes. Could Sam Darnold win it and I'd be fine with it? Yes. Trevor Lawrence, who I didn't have in my top 5 all year, and shame on me for not really giving Trevor Lawrence the love and respect that he deserved. After I went back and looked at the stats, I was like, wow, he's really having I knew he was having a great year because of the record, but I just didn't give him the full respect that he deserves. So I just want to give Trevor Lawrence the love that he deserved. And let the people that do pay attention to the show, hey, I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't see it, and that's shame on me. But I do want to respect Trevor Lawrence and say, hey, man, what a great year for him. Anyway, I still go with Matt Stafford because of what they've been able to do as an organization this year. I love this. Yes, they were the 5th seed coming in. They're in a very tough, very, 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 very tough NFC West, where you had 3 teams that had 12 plus wins. Like that's and one of those teams are the 1 seed in the NFC. But great game, and Stafford 24 for 42, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Kyron Williams had 13 carries, 57 yards. Puka Nacua, 10 receptions, 111 yards and a touchdown. Let me tell y'all something about Puka Nacua. After the first year, I had said to myself after the first year of seeing Puka Nacua, I thought, well, maybe Puka is not as, maybe this is a 1-year wonder type thing, right? Maybe this is a 1-year wonder type thing. Maybe it is just hey, him and Matt Stafford got a beautiful connection. It could be just that. But what I've seen from Puka Nacua, and I'm pretty sure everybody else has seen from Puka Nacua, this guy is an absolute monster. I mean, he just has ways of finding to grabbing the football, making plays. I've seen him now. 10 plus catches is nothing for Puka Nacua. Even with a Hall of Famer like Devontae Adams on your side, so, the emergence of Kobe Parkinson, Tyler Higbee being back, it's just like, hey, he is Matt Stafford's most trusted receiver. And there's no knock on Devontae, because Devontae and him could go off at any time as well. But he is obviously his most trusted receiver, and it just shows. And in some cases, I mean, if he's healthy all year, all that good stuff, this guy, to me, has a chance to maybe win an MVP at receiver one day. That's how good he's been. I don't know if, when Stafford decides to hang it up, when, or if, who the next quarterback will be able to have that same chemistry with him, but the kid is talented, and that you cannot take away from him. So shout out to Puka Nacua. Then looking at Carolina, and if you're a Carolina Panthers fan, yeah, the game against Tampa Bay was a little rocky, but that's a division rival. You're going to see those type of things. But Bryce Young's day, maybe not the sexiest numbers wise, or the 21 for 40, a touchdown and a pick. But what I saw was guts. What I saw was a guy who wanted to go out there and do big things for his team, and he tried to put the team on his back, along with Chuba Hubbard. I hate saying Chuba's name, Chuba Hubbard. who had a couple touchdowns on the day on the ground. It was great. My guy Jalen Coker, who I picked up on one of my sleeper fantasy leagues, and he has just been outstanding. Okay, let me clarify that he's been outstanding, and the 9 receptions, 134 yards and a touchdown. Coker is a number 2 on this team. Maybe behind Tech McMillan, but look, they got a nice 1-2 punch. And they can, for me, I feel like Carolina can only go up from here. So shout out to the Panthers. Yes, tough game, tough way to lose it. That part of it, I understand. I know fans are a little hurt, but you got a lot to be proud of in Carolina. Then the next game that we saw, the Green Bay Packers traveling to Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears. This game was boy, pure disappointment for this guy right here. Talking about your boy. Green Bay gave this game away. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Both quarterbacks had phenomenal days. Jordan Love's day, it was outstanding. 323 yards passing, 24 for 46. He had 4 touchdown passes. You don't have 4 touchdown passes, 300 plus yards, and lose a football game. That just rarely happens. And guess what? It happened. And I think that if you're the Packers, there's a lot going on. A lot of people think it's time for Matt LaFleur to be gone. I was one of those people that knocking on that door. But I was, and I want to give a shout out to my guy from the Wise Guys podcast, Trey. My guy Trey said this, and I, agree with Trey 6 trillion% here. The way that everything kind of went down with him and Ben Johnson at the end of that game, the disrespect that Ben Johnson threw to Matt LaFleur. Now, obviously, that first game, he ran over there, but the handshake was a little bit longer than what we saw. It was a quick, it was, hey, man, boom, and they ran out. They obviously don't like each other. But a lot of people said Matt LaFleur started this, and I'm like, nah, this started in the offseason when Ben Johnson came in there and pretty much started talking smack about Matt LaFleur. And so, like my man Trey Larkin said, he's like, at first he was on the bandwagon. I'm right there with him. I was on the bandwagon. It's time maybe to move on. But I feel like LaFleur, at least he's got to go back and he's got to man up. Like, he's got to go in there and give his, he's got to go in there and toughen out, man. Like, I want to see him win in this situation. I hate the fact that Ben Johnson came in there and they punked him. It's that simple. They came in there and they punked him. Him, Caleb Williams, whole squad, they just came in there and punked him. But the things, it was the anger. Like, I've never been a person that said I hate the Chicago Bears. Probably because, hey, the Packers have always had great moments against them, right? Like, great moments. They've always been on point. They've always, beat them. Like, heck, last year was the first time they beat them since 2016. It's almost 9 years. Like some 9 years. It's been crazy stuff. Like, the Packers just had their numbers. So, yes, I get it. Bears fans hating the Packers, as well you should. Them hating the Packers, I get it. But it was just the way it was done. I'm like, yeah, okay. But we've been, the Packers have been they've been the everything in that division for years. So, the other teams won it. The Packers haven't won a division in a couple of years. I think Rodgers last year, their year before last, there was the last time they won it, which was the year they lost to San Francisco. But the Detroit Lions have had a run at it. I think the Vikings may have won one in there. Now the Bears have won it. Everybody but the Packers. So the Packers have been a good football team, but they haven't done enough. So you go in here, things have got to change. Like, if you're Green Bay, you got to get tough. I don't know what it takes, but things have to change. Things have to change. My man Randall Burns talking about the disparity in, one of my guys on the Green and Gold podcast, they talked about the disparity of assistant coaches, where the Packers won't pay a lot of money for their assistant coaches, and it shows. That's got to change too. If they want to take the next step and compete in the NFC North, things got to change. It's that simple. But back to everything. Caleb Williams, 24 for 48, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Swift, 13 carries, 54 yards. Colston Loveland, who started the season off a little light, Loveland maybe not as much love that that he's getting these last couple of weeks. Like him and Caleb have a connection. 8 receptions, 137 yards, and the Packers couldn't stop it. They could not stop him. In that second half, he was unstoppable. And it worked, The Caleb Williams, Jordan Love rivalry, I think, is going to be something special for the next couple of years. But if you're the Packers, you've got to win some of these fights. The Chicago Bears are tired of getting beat up, and it showed. They're the 2 seed. They won the division. You got to show up. So, shout out to Chicago. And that's hard for me to say. Packers were up 21-3, and there's no reason why they lose this game, right? The Bears scored 25 points in the fourth quarter. 25 points in the fourth quarter to win this game. They deserved it. Packers have done this too much this year. I'm getting it all out now because I probably won't be talking Green Bay no more the rest of the ride, and I'm getting it all out now. So y'all let me vent a little bit. Things have to change. They don't change, and who knows? Some moves have got to be made. Some vets have to be brought in. A lot has to be done. But all to say this: yes, the Packers didn't deserve to win that game. They should have won that game. They shot themselves in the foot. But I will also say this: Chicago never gave up. That crowd never gave up. And in the second half, they scored 28 points. They outscored the Packers 28-6 to win that game. So shout out to the Chicago Bears. Big matchup against the Rams this week. We'll see how it goes. In the next matchup, we saw on Sunday, we saw the Jacksonville Jaguars take on the Buffalo Bills. This is another great game. And back and forth on both ends. Josh Allen, 28 for 35 in a TD, 273 yards passing. Cook had 15 carries for 46 yards. Shakur had 12 receptions, 82 yards. It was just a really good game. It was a good football game, and just a field goal, Just a field goal difference in this one. Trevor Lawrence had a solid day, 18 for 30, 3 touchdowns. The 2 picks obviously hurt, but, both teams battled. And Jacksonville, I thought Jacksonville, if they won this game, would go to the Super Bowl. I felt like the team that won this game would go to the Super Bowl. So we'll see. And Buffalo got the dub. They win 27-24, and it's a nice win for Buffalo. Tough one for Jacksonville, but a young team, still good young head coach. New head coach in this game. 13 wins in the first season. Big season for Jacksonville. Shout out to the amazing reporter from Jacksonville and the Jacksonville Free Press that went out there and showed Coach Cohen some love, and people ridiculed her. And, as a person who's been in this media game now going on almost 10 years, I'm going to be 10 years in November. So being in the game that long and seeing compassion from reporters is a nice thing to see, because there's a lot of jerks in the industry. And I said it, there's a lot of jerks in the industry that are here to, obviously make money, try to, provide for their families, but they'll say anything nasty. They'll say crazy stuff. They do not care. They will say, whatever it takes in order for them to get the clicks. And like I said, it's a click-driven business. It's a viewer-driven business. But for those reporters that have compassion for the coaches and the players, you shouldn't get ridiculed for that. But I will say most of the energy has been positive for her. I think a lot of people say it was refreshing to see. And I thought it was too. I mean, I love that she tried to hold him up in a tough time. And she could have easily went in there and started asking him crazy questions, but she didn't. She felt like that was a moment. She saw the look on his face and said, "Hey, man, keep your head up. We support you." And what's wrong with the reporters supporting the team? As long as they not, out there doing backflips and, talking crazy. I mean, it was just a moment of compassion, and people wanted to throw her under the bus. Man, people funny, man. But I'm not going to go into the today's society thing, but that's what that is at times, man. People just got a bad whatever. Don't do that. But I love what she did, and it was amazing. Still a tough way for Jacksonville to go out, unfortunately for them. The next game was the Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers getting a 23-19 victory over the Eagles, knocking out the defending champions and setting us up for a brand spanking new Super Bowl this year. Super Bowl 60 will have two new teams in there, not the Chiefs, not the Eagles. So we will have a new champion on both the NFC and the AFC sides this year. And I'm excited. Even though it didn't go the way I would like it in that first weekend, I still like what we have in store for us this weekend. Like, tomorrow is going to be amazing. It's going to be an amazing ride tomorrow. But shout out to Brock Purdy, 262 yards, 18 for 31, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. But he willed his way and helped get this team the victory. Christian McCaffrey, 15 carries for 48 yards. DeMarcus Robinson had a solid day. 6 receptions, 111 yards, and a TD. He came out blasting. They hit him with like a 50-yard pass to get things started at the beginning of the game. Then he ended up scoring the first touchdown and setting up this San Francisco team for glory. Then you look at the Eagles, where it was just rough. I mean, yes, they hung in there. They had chances to win, but it just didn't look good overall. Saquon Barkley did Saquon Barkley things, 26 carries for 106 yards, no TDs. Devontae Smith, 8 receptions for 70 yards. Hurts 168 and a touchdown, 20 for 35. But this Eagles team, and they have, now we know that they have fired their offensive coordinator. There's going to be some change there. They've got to figure something out to get back on top. And I will say this. I don't put anything past the Eagles. They're going to still be a solid football team. And if Howie Roseman and their coaching staff, they're going to figure things out. So don't knock the Eagles down too long, because next year they could be back stronger than ever. But the San Francisco 49ers move on, and they will take on the Seattle Seahawks for the third time this season. They just played them the week before last in a 13-3 battle. And so now we'll get to see them play one more time in Seattle. The road teams have won both of those games. Next matchup we had was a Sunday night matchup where we saw the Patriots and the Chargers in a 16-3 win for New England. I'll be honest with you, man. It was an ugly football game. This is probably the game I paid the least attention to throughout the weekend, but I had it on. I was still peeking and seeing how the thing was going. And the Chargers just couldn't get it going. I mean, defensively, not defensively, offensively, it just wasn't. Herbert, 19 for 31, 129 yards. He led the team in rushing with 10 carries and 57 yards. But their defense was just, they were just all over the place. The Patriots defense was just out there giving all the problems. Just giving them all the problems. So it was a little rough. But they were able to kind of get themselves back in it and do what they needed to do. Look, in the end, I like what I saw from New England. It was a tough, physical game. Drake went in there and did what he needed to get done. A great day from him. He led the team in rushing. So both quarterbacks led the team in rushing in this game. But it wasn't the prettiest game. But sometimes you got to win ugly to get to where you want to be. So New England moves on, and they this week will take on the Houston Texans. That's going to be a good football game. And last but not least, we saw the Texans take on the Steelers. The Texans win 30-6. Now, I will say something about this game. This game was extremely close until the fourth quarter. Like, going into the fourth quarter, the score was 7-6 going into the fourth quarter. And then the Texans just went off. And it was a 1-point game. It could have went anywhere. And the Steelers just didn't have enough in the end. And I think the Steelers football team, they had talent. They had the highest paid defense in the league. But I think with Pittsburgh, they just didn't have enough offensive firepower. We all know now that there will be change there in Pittsburgh as Mike Tomlin stepped down the other day. And so there will be a new leader in Pittsburgh, only the 4th head coach in Pittsburgh Steelers history. All of their coaches have at least coached for 14 years, I believe, at the minimum. All of them winning Super Bowls. Tomlin has one, went to two. Cowher has one, went to two. Chuck Noll has four. It's a rich franchise with greatness, and I feel like whoever the fourth coach is, they just got to get it right. And we think we also may have seen the last of Aaron Rodgers because they wanted him back, and I just don't see a scenario where Aaron Rodgers comes back. Me personally see a situation where Aaron Rodgers comes back without Mike Tomlin being there. And the main reason why Aaron Rodgers even went to Pittsburgh in the first place is because of Mike Tomlin. And so now that Mike Tomlin is not there, I don't know if that's something that we see, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be unfortunate for a lot of people, but I just think that we have seen the end of Aaron Rodgers, and the Hall of Fame class of 2031. We'll see all of that soon. So there it was. There were our playoff games for the wild card weekend. And now let's go to the power ranking. This is the power ranking that I currently have heading into this week. At number 8, I got the Chicago Bears. And I know a lot of people are going to say you salty. Well, call it whatever you want. I still think that the teams ahead of them just have something a little bit more special. Now, a team I probably should have put a little bit closer, maybe the Texans. I thought about putting them like 8 and 7, but I'm going to stick with what I got here. I got the Bears at 8, but they probably will prove me wrong again this week. The San Francisco 49ers I have at 7, and I probably should have them a little higher, but the injuries, even though they've proven everybody wrong all year with the injuries and still able to do things, it's just something I say I'm going to hold judgment. If they beat Seattle this week, obviously that changes everything. But this team, they find ways. They lose George Kittle. George Kittle's gone, ACL. But Jake Tungus, who's been great in his absence throughout the year, probably their next solid tight end. Who I don't know if he's going to be a great, but he's going to be a good solid tight end for the 49ers whenever Kittle decides to hang it up, as long as he's there. So I got San Francisco at 7, and Brock Purdy's playing with some toughness, and like I said, I just got a feeling that the NFC is going to be represented by the NFC West. And the AFC, I felt like the win of the Jaguars and Bills game. So speaking of the Bills, they're at 6. The Buffalo Bills, nice win over Jacksonville. They still have their moments at times where they look amazing, and you'd be like, I don't know. And then they lose a game. You're like, why did you lose this game? You shouldn't have. So I'll put them at 6 for now. At 5, the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans are on a roll. Man, Houston has been absolutely amazing. The last time that the Houston Texans lost a football game was back in the beginning part of November. Now, if you look at the history of football, it's the team that's the hottest team coming in. Well, like I said, the Texans haven't lost since November the 2nd. They've beaten the 49ers. They did lose to the Seahawks. They lost a tough one to Jacksonville earlier in the season. They lost to the Rams. So they've lost to some playoff teams. But in this stretch, they've been able to just go in there and get some really nice wins. And they've been flawless since losing to the Broncos. So they beat Jacksonville the next time. They beat the Titans. They beat the Bills. They beat the Colts, who at one point with the 1 seed. They beat the former AFC champion Chiefs. They beat the Cardinals. They beat the Raiders. They beat the Chargers, who are another playoff team. They beat the Colts again. And then, of course, they beat the Steelers now. If you're New England, just got to be ready. This is going to be a very, very good game. And I think it's going to be two teams dogfight, just a dogfight between these two teams to see who will go to the AFC Championship game. And I wouldn't be surprised either way. So, but they're on a hot streak. They they have not lost in a while. And so when you're looking at pretty much on a 10-game win streak for the Texans, the hottest team usually is a team to watch out for. At number 4, the New England Patriots. The Patriots are a tough, physical team, just like they have their coach's mentality, And New England's going to be rocking. New England is going to be rocking this weekend with a chance to go back to the AFC Championship game for the first time since Tom Brady was there. At number 3, the team that I picked to go to the Super Bowl, the Los Angeles Rams. They scared your boy last week. I'm like, man, not in the first week y'all get eliminated. I can't even brag a little bit that I picked y'all to go to the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season and win it. So don't make me look bad, LA. Come on, man. Like, win the Super Bowl. I was like, that's all I'm asking. Just go win it. At number 2, the Denver Broncos. They were on the bye last week, but they'll be ready to roll. The number 1 team, the Seattle Seahawks, they had the best record in the NFL, alongside with the Patriots and the Broncos. But I like what Sam Darnold and that defense have been doing, so I got them at number 1. Now, let's go into the games. So, first game is tomorrow at 4:30 on CBS. We'll have the Broncos, the 1 seed, taking on the 6 seed Buffalo Bills. Then the next game, the other 1 seed, the Seattle Seahawks, will take on the 49ers, 8 o'clock on Fox. 2 big games looking to punch tickets into their respective championship games. Then we move to Sunday. And on Sunday, we'll see at 3 o'clock, which I'm glad because I have a broadcast at noon. Well, I'll be broadcasting with my guy, Rob Johnson, the VCU Rams taking on the Richmond Spiders. Women's matchup should be a good one. Can't wait to see what Maggie Dugan and the crew can do and see if they can beat up on their crosstown rival, or will VCU and Knežević go out there and do what they need to do. But we'll see. But my boy, Rob Johnson, and myself will bring you their broadcast here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, 12 noon from the Robins Center. So, with all that being said, shameless plug, the Patriots take on the Texans, 3 o'clock matchup. So, should be back home in time to catch a nice chunk of that. Should be fun to see what these 2 teams can do. Then, the last game, the other 2-5 matchup, the Chicago Bears hosting the LA Rams. Will that cold weather affect the Rams? It's going to be 18 degrees out there. Chicago knows how to play in it. Chicago's looking to punch a ticket into the NFC Championship game, man. Like, wow, right? If that goes down, what a day it would be. But we'll see. So those are our games set up for the weekend. And now, ladies and gentlemen, my picks, which I'm pretty sure I may go on for just because I am picking. And I do apologize to all the teams that I am about to show up on here, because last year I did the same thing. AFC Championship game, both teams that I picked lost. And I got the opposite. So whenever I want something, it goes the opposite. Did the same thing the 2 years before then. Now, I know this is the divisional round, so just know that when I pick you next week in the AFC Championship and NFC Championship games, whoever you may be, you will not be going to the Super Bowl. So here we go. Hopefully I go 4-0, but I think I'm probably going to go 2-2. Here we go. So I have the Rams winning their game against Chicago, selfish reasons, and because I picked them to go to the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season. I got the Seahawks winning against the 49ers, setting up a NFC West battle for a chance to go to the Super Bowl in California at Santa Clara. And then I have what it would be a potential AFC East championship game in the AFC if my picks go the right way. But I got New England beating the Texans, which I'll be honest with you, I wanted to really pick Houston in this game. I did, and I felt like if I didn't split it up a little bit because I was picking Buffalo, then I would be wrong somehow, some way. So that's what I got. I got the Rams, the Seahawks, the Patriots, and the Bills. And let me just say this, y'all. Let me just say this. I have no confidence in these picks. Like they really could go anyway. I know I picked the Rams. I know I picked the Seahawks. I know I picked the Patriots. I know I picked the Bills. This could easily, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, like easily go the opposite way. And I would not be shocked on all fronts. Like I could be completely wrong and be like, yeah, that makes sense. And I've been wrong. I had my boy George hit me up, made fun of me. He was like, hey, you're looking 1 for 3. I know what I did last week. I know what the record was last week. I can't go out there and physically control it. Maybe I'm not the smartest football person. You can say that. I don't think that's the case. I just think that when I pick teams, it just don't work out the way I wanted to work out. I don't know, y'all. You know, I'm sorry that it's not as good as it needs to be. But with all that being said, playoff football tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoy it. Get out there, enjoy some football. We got the college football championship, which, oh, man, I meant to do my prediction for that. Well, I might as well do that and have a fancy graphic for it. But my college football prediction for Monday. I think I'm rooting for Miami, but the way Indiana's playing, it's going to be tough to pick against the Hoosiers. I'll be rooting for Miami, but I think Indiana will get the dub and finish the season off the right way. And, what a great moment it would be for Indiana if they can win that national championship. If not, and the Hurricanes can, make the ACC look good, which is what I'm always rooting for, especially since we cover the ACC on such a large scale. I would really want to see that kind of happen as well. So I think this is a win-win one way or the other. It's going to be a great college football championship game. So on Martin Luther King Day, it should be an absolute gem. All right, that's it. I'm done. We'll see you all next week for our AFC and NFC championship, our championship Sunday edition of 101. And I'm excited because it'll be episode 199, one away from the big one. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in once again. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope y'all get a good kick of me getting picks wrong, because that seems to happen more than I would like. Well, with that being said, y'all all have a great weekend. For those who get a 3-day holiday weekend, enjoy it. Enjoy the football. And we will see you all next Friday for our AFC and NFC championship game previews. Until then, peace. One. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the